My name is Amarpreet. I am 38 years old, and I am married to a man named Rajesh. Rajesh is 42 years old. We have been married for 10 years. Our life was simple, but it was good. We lived in a small flat in Mumbai. It was not a big place, but it felt warm and peaceful. The flat had a tiny kitchen, a small living room, and one bedroom. From our balcony, we could see busy streets, tea stalls, and children playing cricket every evening. Rajesh worked in a logistics company near the airport. His job was stressful. Trucks moved day and night, drivers shouted, phones rang constantly, and there were always delivery problems. But every night he smiled at me and said the same thing. I do all this for our future. I worked at a small medical clinic. I welcomed patients, helped them fill forms, answered calls, and guided old people to the doctor's room. Sometimes the clinic was crowded with people waiting for hours. Sometimes it was quiet, but I liked helping others. Our life followed the same routine every day. Every morning, Rajesh made chai while I prepared breakfast. Sometimes we ate bread omelet, sometimes only biscuits and tea because we were running late. At night, we cooked dinner together. We talked about work, neighbors, rising prices, and our dreams for the future. Rajesh was the kind of husband who shared everything with me. If something funny happened at work, he told me immediately. If something went wrong, he told me that too. That was our rule. No secrets. We believed trust keeps a marriage strong. At least, that is what I believed. But 3 weeks ago, something started changing. At first, the changes were small. Rajesh started coming home late. Usually he returned around 6 p.m., but now sometimes it became 8 p.m., sometimes even later. The first time, I ignored it. Work pressure, Hoga, I told myself. But one evening, he came home looking completely exhausted. His eyes looked distant, his shoulders felt heavy. I asked softly, "Long day?" He nodded slowly.
Very long. Then he quietly drank water and sat silently during dinner. That was strange. Rajesh loved talking during meals. He always shared funny stories about truck drivers, warehouse problems, or office gossip. But now he barely spoke. Still, I tried not to worry. Everyone has difficult days. A few days later, something else happened. We were eating dinner quietly when his phone rang loudly. Rajesh looked at the screen. For a second, his expression changed. Then suddenly, he stood up and walked into the other room to answer the call. I froze. He had never done that before. Normally, he answered calls openly in front of me. Sometimes he even laughed and put the phone on speaker. But this time, he closed the door. I could hear his voice softly, but I could not understand the words. After a few minutes, he came back and started eating again. I looked at him carefully. "Who was it?" I asked. "Office ka call tha," he replied quickly. His answer sounded normal, but his voice did not. It sounded careful, like he was hiding something. A strange fear slowly started growing inside my heart. Over the next week, things became even stranger. Rajesh still came home late. Sometimes I spoke to him, but he looked lost in his own thoughts. One evening, I called his name twice before he finally reacted. Sorry, kya bola tumne? He asked suddenly. My heart felt uneasy. Where was his mind going? What was he hiding? Finally, one afternoon after work,
I visited my neighbor and close friend, Sunita Auntie. She lived next door and had known us for years. Whenever I felt worried, she listened patiently. Her flat smelled of fresh ginger tea and incense sticks. The TV played old Bollywood songs softly in the background. We sat at her dining table while rain tapped gently against the window. She looked at my face carefully and asked, "Amanpreet beta, kya hua?" At first, I forced a smile. "Kuch nahi." But she raised her eyebrow. "I know you very well," she said gently. "Something is troubling you." So finally, I told her everything. Rajesh coming home late, the secret phone calls, his distant behavior, his silence. Sunita Auntie listened quietly, without interrupting. Then she spoke softly. "Sometimes people hide problems not because they want to hurt us, but because they are scared." Her words stayed in my heart. Maybe Rajesh was struggling with something difficult. Maybe he was trying to protect me. That evening, Rajesh came home looking nervous. Very nervous. He placed his keys on the table without looking at me. Then suddenly he asked, "Amanpreet, have you ever thought about moving to another city?" I stared at him. "Moving? Why?" He rubbed the back of his neck nervously. "Maybe somewhere near the sea," he said quietly. My heartbeat became faster. We had never discussed leaving Mumbai before. Our jobs were here. Our memories were here. So why was he suddenly talking about moving? I looked directly into his eyes. "Rajesh, what is going on?" But he stayed silent. That silence scared me more than words. Later that night, while Rajesh was taking a shower, his phone vibrated on the kitchen counter. I was not trying to check his phone. But the screen lit up, and for 1 second, I saw a message. "Did you tell her yet?" My chest tightened. Tell me what? My mind filled with fear and questions. Who sent that message? What truth was Rajesh hiding? When he came back from the shower, I tried acting normal, but my heart was racing. Finally, I could not stay silent anymore. "Rajesh," I said softly, "I think it's time you tell me the truth." He froze. "The truth?" "Yes," I replied. "About the message." For a long moment, he stayed quiet. Then finally, he sat down and covered his face with his hands. "Amanpreet, my company is shutting down my department." I felt cold. "What?" "I'm losing my job." "I'm losing my job," he whispered. The words hit me hard. Then he continued, "There's another position available, but it's in Chennai." I stared at him silently. And I already accepted it. I felt shocked. He made such a huge decision without telling me. Part of me felt hurt, but another part of me saw the fear in his eyes. For weeks, he had carried this burden alone. He was scared. Not for himself. For us. "I didn't want you to worry," he said quietly. "I was afraid you would say no." Tears filled my eyes. I moved closer to him and held his hand.
Rajesh, I said softly. Marriage means facing problems together. He looked at me silently. You don't have to carry everything alone.
For the first time in weeks, I saw relief on his face. He hugged me tightly. Outside, the city lights glowed through the window, while distant auto rickshaw horns echoed in the night. Our life was about to change. A new city, a new beginning, a new struggle. But at that moment, I understood something important. Home is not only walls, streets, or memories. Home is the person who stands beside you during difficult times. 2 months later, we packed our bags and left Mumbai together. As our train moved forward, I held Rajesh's hand tightly and smiled. Whatever happened next, we would face it together. Because love becomes strongest not during easy times, but during the moments when life tests us the most.
If you enjoyed this emotional English story, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more inspiring stories to improve your English every day.